Brother lads, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to a brand new video. These are the 5 things we learned from Arsenal 0, Aston Villa 2. Unai Emery celebrating at the Emirates Stadium, something he never managed to do even if he had a final against Chelsea where he was walloped 4 goals to 0. Let's dive into it. Number 1, Alexander Zenko yesterday was absolutely atrocious, and I think Mikel Arteta made a big mistake playing him in that game. Now, I don't know how Mikel Arteta was thinking and what he was thinking, but he was wrong, and he's got to admit that, and he's got to understand that that was a wrong choice for him to play Zenko in that game. In a game where you have Aston Villa focusing all their attack on the flanks, on the wide areas, how is Alexander Zenko a candidate for starters? How is Alexander Zenko's name on the team sheet? Well, Tomiyasu is on the bench, while Kivio is on the bench. And listen, Kivio had a very poor game against Bayern Munich, but I think he deserves to play in this game. I think Tomiyasu deserves to start in this game. With Alexander Zenko, his games for Arsenal this season are over. You could play him maybe against Man United, but also Man United play with wingers because they play counter-attacking football. You know, this Aston Villa side, they dominated us in the second half. But even with a lot of domination, it was not their midfield that was actually working. It was not their midfield that was, creating all these good situations. It was through their wingers. It was through their, wide areas. And Alexander Zenko really struggled, especially in the second half. First half, he was a little bit alright, but second half, he really struggled. And for me, it comes from Mikel Arteta's blindness at times. Why do you play Alexander Zenko? You've already showed us that Alexander Zenko is one of the players that cannot be trusted. That is why even when he became fit, you continue to play Jakub Kivio. Even when he was fit last sometimes, you played Tomiyasu, and we all understood. And somehow, against one of the teams that have the quality wingers in the Premier League, against one of the managers that really cannot be fooled, you have played Alexander Zenko. Zenko was atrocious yesterday. He was pulling players back. He was destroying our offside trap. And when the ball falls into his own, left back position, he's nowhere to be seen. Declan Rice is there, exposed. Alexander Zenko is at right back, and it's a goal to nail. And from that point, Arsenal have to push on. We have to go, we have to go on and try to win the game, and it's 2-0. And that is the Liverpool Anfield 2-2 vibes of last season. Alexander Zenko is standing in the way of Trent Alexander-Arnold. Trent just bypasses him, right? He just bypasses him. This nigga doesn't even get yellow cards in games. Zenko doesn't even get yellow cards because defensively, he doesn't do anything. So he doesn't tackle, he doesn't foul, he doesn't pull, he doesn't push. Like, Trent bypasses him, and that's what Aston Villa did yesterday. 2 goals down his side, easy. He makes it too easy for the opposition. It really, really does. Point number 2, Mikel Arteta's arrogance cost him that game. His arrogance cost him that game, because when he was asked about why he played Kai Havertz in midfield and why he made changes that really didn't make any sense in his press conference, he said, because I am the manager and I choose the starting 11. That is the arrogance we talk about. When I was a little boy, my mother used to say, it's your arrogance that brings you down as a man. And it's one thing that I've learned from her and from real life examples in real time. It's your arrogance. When you're not humble enough, when you're not cautious enough, and when you're not really, when you don't pay attention to what is going to bring you down because you think you're high, because you think you're mighty, it's just a matter of time before whatever kind of walls of Jericho you've built are brought down. And it's one lesson I took from my old woman. It's the arrogance that brings you down. It's the arrogance first. Whenever you get arrogant, you are going down. And for Mikel Arteta, that is a lesson that no one has taught him, and it has brought him down on 3 occasions. The first occasion, that was 2021, 2022, when he was fighting with Antonio Conte for the UEFA Champions League spot, and Tottenham took the spot. That was Mikel Arteta's arrogance. Last season, right? Taking off Martin Odegaard, keeping Alexander Zinchenko on the pitch for long hours, for long minutes in the game, not paying attention to Alexander Zinchenko's weaknesses, picking his favorite players over, quality, his arrogance. This season, it is the same story. You cannot say that, well, I'll change because I am the manager. These were the 3 stages where Mikel Arteta could have solved it. At half time, Arsenal had really done very well, but we had not taken control of that game. We had not taken control of the midfield. So he should have brought on Jorginho for Trossard, or he should have brought on Jorginho for Gabriel Jesus, just to control the game, get full control of the game, right? Because that was the mistake he made right from the start. But okay, it's all right. He doesn't do that. Then Alexander Zinchenko makes a massive mistake. He's defending from right back. It's a corner situation still. He's defending from right back, and he gives the ball away to Tielemans, who hits it sweetly and perfectly. But it is not. It's not 100% perfect, right? Because it hits the crossbar, it hits the post, and it's out. That is the moment you take this clown of Alexander Zinchenko off the pitch. That is the moment. He doesn't take him off. Right? He waits until Arsenal concede. And what does he do? First, he takes off Martin Odegaard. Second, he keeps on Zinchenko on the pitch. And third, he keeps Gabriel Jesus. And for me, that broke me. Because he takes off Jesus and he takes off Odegaard, but he keeps Kai Havertz out of position. Doesn't make any sense. So for me, Mikel could have solved it, right? He could have got it right by playing his usual good team. He fails. He could have solved it by reverting to his winning formula. Again, he refused. It's your arrogance that costs you, right? There is no crown for arrogance. There is no crown for arrogance. The only reward is for champions. It's what Bayer Leverkusen again. You look at Alonso. I love Alonso, man. I really, really do. And I hope Edu and whoever is looking at managers is looking at recruitment. I don't say that Arteta should be sacked. No, I'm not there. I'm not part of that bogus scum. But what I'm saying is that if Alonso became available, consider him. Consider him. That's the truth. Because with Xabi Alonso, what we have seen a lot of the time is his team winning games from 80 minutes going onwards. Why? He brings on a Patrick Schick. He brings on a Victor Boniface. He will try to make it work. I think with Mikel Arteta, Nketiah, bring on Eddie Nketiah, bro. You bring on Eddie Nketiah, Emil Smith-Rowe for Odegaard. It doesn't work and doesn't get worse than that. My point number 3, we are weak in decisive games, and this has got to stop. We've got to find a solution on that. We've got to stop. We've got to find a way of dealing with quality. That is number 1. Whenever we face a quality side, or whenever we face a team that is willing to play, we have done nothing. Man City, 0-0. Man City were willing to play. Fulham, they beat us at the Emirates Stadium, and 2-2 at the Craven Cottage. They were willing to play. West Ham, when they were willing to play at the Emirates Stadium, they beat us. Aston Villa, they were willing to play at the Emirates Stadium and the Villa Park. They beat us home and away. So whenever Arsenal play a team that is willing to bring the game to us, right? We don't want that. This team is too much for us. We want to beat Luton. We want to beat Crystal Palace. We want to beat Liverpool when Liverpool are dead. That's what we want to do. There is no title that you win by this, right? Look at the Real Madrid Man City game. That's what I'm talking about. When Madrid score, City score. When City score and take the lead, Madrid come back for it. That is how champions play. That is how the top teams play. Bro, you're not prime Barcelona. You're not going to freeze every team out. You're not the Spain of Xavi, Iniesta, Busquets. You're not that. Because with Xavi's Spain, what we used to do is to freeze everyone out. We froze the opponent. Xavi could have 90 touches, Iniesta 90 touches, and Busquets 100 touches. Those are 300 touches between those three players. What used to happen is that the opposition could get frozen. They could fail to decide what to do, right? So Arsenal have got to be serious in decisive games. We've got to get a winning formula just for decisive games. Do we sit back and counter? Do we press on? What do we do in decisive games? Because it is embarrassing. 3 seasons running, Arsenal are knocked out at every knockout stage in the Carabao Cup. That's a decisive game because you win it, you progress. It's the same story for the FA Cup. You win it, you progress. We don't progress because in decisive games, we are non-progressive. We are somehow non-progressive in decisive games. It's got to stop. Otherwise, if we cannot stop it, get rid of the manager. Get rid of it. I mean, Zinedine Zidane, how did he win 3 UCLs in back-to-back? How did he do it? By making sure that Madrid always turned up with a top-level performance in a knockout competition when they needed to. Mikel has got to learn that, right? Point number 4, Havertz in midfield doesn't work. Yeah, Havertz in midfield doesn't work. I think Havertz in midfield will work eventually. And I think that is his final position as an Arsenal player. And I'm not going to be against Mikel Arteta with this. Havertz is a good midfielder. He is a presser. He's more like a Martin Odegaard, right? And he's creative. And he can run through and go. And he can finish as well. And he can investigate space very well. You can play him like a Thomas Muller. No questions there. So you can get a top number 9 and play Kai Havertz and Odegaard in the same team. And it will work. But this is the problem. Listen, this is the problem. Kai Havertz this season, around this crop of players in midfield, don't waste your time. Like Mikel Arteta, you've tried it. You've tinkered with it until you got the right recipe. Why are you pouring water and more salt in the working recipe to make everyone get food poisoning? Because that football yesterday was food poisoning. That was food poisoning. That football I watched yesterday gave me a rough stomach ache. Right now, I've not recovered. The headache I got yesterday, I've not recovered. So how in the world am I supposed to believe that Kai Havertz works in midfield? He's been scoring goals up top. He has like 5 goals in his last 7 games. And then you pinch him off to play a Gabriel Jesus who is never clinical. The guy has never been clinical. So what Mikel has done is this. He has taken Robin van Persie off the front line, and he has replaced him with Kim Kallstrom, and Mikel has said, this guy is good. Arsenal have done a lot of PR spinning for Mikel Arteta. Football doesn't need PR. If I had a football club, I wouldn't really have a PR department. And I'm telling you, I'm a first-class communication student. First class. I wouldn't have a PR department for a football club. Why? It's a results business. They say it. Arsenal 5, Crystal Palace 0. You don't need a PR to spin it. Arsenal 2, Bayern 7. Arsenal 2, Man United 8. You don't need a PR. You don't need the PR department to spin it. You don't need it. It's a shambles. And lastly, for me, Arsenal, again, we've got to go to the market. I'm sad. I'm not really sad. It's a pity that I'm saying this, right? Guess I'm sad. But we've got to go back to the market and now look at the bench. The quality on this bench is still not there. Because when you take off Odegaard and you take off Trossard and you take off Declan Rice, this team is finished. Right? This team is finished. We've got to now work on the on the squad depth. We've got to work on who comes on after. We've got to work on the second lineup. I know it's no longer about first and second 11s. It's about squad. But as a squad, we've got the quality in there, but we've got to get rid of some. I think Smith Rowe can get rid of, Zenko get rid of, Jesus you can get rid of. There's so many players you can get rid of, right? And build a competent squad. Because against Luton, Man City played like half their first 11, half their second 11. Kovacic without Lodri, that is your second 11 midfield with Nunes in there, and then Kevin De Bruyne to spice it up. So there was no Lodri, there was no Bernardo Silva, there was no Phil Foden, okay. And then up top they played Doku, Alvarez, and Haaland. Yeah, you can see there's a mix up there. And then at the back he played Diaz. He also played Nico Lewis. He played I think Akanji and Givaggio. Again, kind of a mix-up. No Kyle Walker, no John Stones. So for me, it's that. Arsenal have got to work on their, on their substitution choices, and we've got to work on our squad depth now. We've got to focus on the quality rather than the numbers.